We just talked about people's preferences over how much to work. We assume that people don't like to work, that they like leisure, and they like consumption. Economists have actually studied whether these assumptions hold in the real world. This research has taught us a few lessons about happiness, which brings me back to a point I made in the first lecture. Learning about economics is really just learning about life. First off, do people actually dislike work? One group of economists, including Nobel Prize winner Daniel Kahneman, conducted a study where they asked people throughout the day what they were doing and how they felt on a scale of 1 to 6. It sounds simple, but the results are illuminating. The happiest that people felt were when they were socializing. That got a 4.59 score out of 6. Relaxing was in second place at 4.42. Meditating and prayer came in at 4.35. Eating was close behind that at 4.34. Working was second to last on the list. People were very likely to report feeling unhappy when they were at work. So they were happy at home and unhappy at work. What was at the very bottom of the list? Being in between the two. The worst happiness scores came while people were on the daily work commute. People spent more than 90 minutes per day commuting on average, and their happiness score was a 3.45 out of 6, the lowest rating across all categories. Who you're with also affects your happiness. When people were with friends, they reported a 4.36 happiness rating. When they were alone, they reported the lowest scores, a 3.41. What are the main takeaways? First, our assumption that people don't like work looks to be pretty good. Our assumption that people value leisure fits the data. As we'll discuss more in the next application, who you spend your leisure time with also matters. But this study only looks at the United States. Another interesting question is whether people make different labor supply decisions in different countries. Economists have also studied this question. It turns out that here in the US, we spend a lot more time working than people in other wealthy countries. In the US, we spend roughly 6.07 hours per day on leisure. In the Netherlands, the average Dutch person spends 7.5 hours per day on leisure, and the average Norwegian person spends almost 6.8 hours per day on leisure. What does it suggest? It suggests that Americans making a labor supply decision are opting for more consumption and less leisure time. One reason could be the difference in opportunity cost of time. The average annual wage in the US in 2015 was roughly $59,000, but it's only $51,000 in the Netherlands and Norway. Given this, the drop in leisure time in the US fits with our model. Americans have a higher opportunity cost for leisure. For each hour they don't work, they're giving up more possible consumption than a Dutch or Norwegian worker. Is one better than the other? Not really. That depends on each person's preferences. Some people may value leisure relatively more than other people. And in fact, if you survey Americans and Dutch people and ask them to rate their happiness, they'll give you about the same answer on average. But it's still interesting to see how by crossing the Atlantic Ocean, we see people's daily lives change quite a bit, and it all goes back to their labor supply decision.